Are we alone in the night of the universe? Is anybody out there pondering the same mystery? Will we never know, like spaceships passing in a black night? Or could it be their craft are already hurtling toward planet Earth?
I found myself lying on a flat surface with these beings standing around me.
Waking up in the middle of the night, seeing beings, lights moving, feeling yourself moving, not being able to move.
And not being able to scream, trying so desperately to scream.
It scares us a lot. It's a terrifying experience.
Somehow, when a UFO lands, there's no tangible evidence, and it's a very incredible claim. And that requires incredible proof.
We actually know a great deal about what's required to travel across space at high speed. The interstellar space travel is very unlikely. It seems preposterous. We should not, therefore, expect extraterrestrials to visit us.
Is anyone out there? Are they already here?
What usually happens is that a light begins to shine in the rooms, and then there's this humming noise, and I may see figures, creatures, beings, a small, sort of slender body with very long arms, but the main thing that I remember was this just very large angular head and these tremendously powerful, huge black eyes.
Thousands of people report terrifying visitations by unearthly beings. But now they aren't the only ones to set their gaze on extraterrestrials. Deep in the California desert, science and science fiction are about to converge.
It doesn't take much to convince you that there should be life out there. Our being here, our planet, our solar system is a completely normal phenomenon. No freak situations were required for us to be here. We've seen much increasing evidence of the presence of other planetary systems, and in our chemical laboratories on Earth, we found a multitude of chemical pathways by which life, like the life on Earth, could have formed. And therefore, what we have here should exist in many places.
There are many places in the universe. So many trillions of stars, there's no name for the number. So even though it takes an amazing combination of ingredients for life to evolve, scientists believe the odds are that somewhere in that vastness, there's another piece of stellar real estate, a place that has it all, especially a source of energy. A star like our own sun, not too near and not too far away. The surface of the planet would have to contain all sorts of chemical elements, but those are common throughout the universe. The waters of a rich primordial soup, charged with high doses of energy, would fuse organic molecules into the precursors of living cells. Then, millions of years later that is, one-celled creatures, life itself. On a very few planets, about 10,000 is a conservative estimate, life might actually take hold and thrive. From there, it's a short leap to intelligent beings, and eventually, the invention of radio. Astronomers say intelligent creatures would discover radio waves and use them to communicate, just as we did. And that's how we could discover them. October 12th, 1992, the 500th anniversary of Columbus's landfall in the New World. NASA has chosen this day to throw a big party in the desert as it launches perhaps the most far-reaching quest in the history of exploration. The world's most powerful radio telescopes are about to begin an unprecedented search for extraterrestrial intelligence. SETI for short. SETI astronomers will be listening to deep space with some of the most intricate hardware ever engineered, and with as much zeal and curiosity as any UFO buff.
No, I believe there are other civilizations that we can detect, and proving the existence of that civilization will be beyond astonishing.
Sometimes you forget what's going on here. I mean, you get wrapped up in the hardware. All of that is very interesting, but it's easy to lose sight of the big picture. What you're really trying to do is to revolutionize the way mankind thinks about his place in the universe, and one shouldn't lose sight of that.
Or her place.
Or her place.
Actually, can you imagine what it would be like to actually know that there was another race of creatures somewhere else? It would force us to see ourselves as one humanity.
If we find that we are not alone, that will change Western civilization in a very fundamental way, the way Copernicus did.
Will tell us that would surely comprise the greatest discovery in the history of science.
SETI telescopes will hear mostly static, the natural noise of the cosmos. What they're listening for is a needle in a cosmic haystack, a distinct signal amid the noise. For all the high-end gear, SETI comes down to searching for a good station on the radio, a tuner with billions of channels on its dial.
You tune your ordinary radio dial, it might take you a minute to go through the whole dial, and there's a possibility of 25, 50 stations there. But we've got billions of channels to check, not 25 or 50. And for us to go over and tune the radio dial, it would take thousands of years if we did it one channel at a time.
To get a selection.
Unfortunately, ET didn't send us a postcard saying, look, I'll be at 1427 megahertz and listen for me. We don't know.
Now, NASA has the tools to channel surf the cosmic dial. Scientists believe that's how we'll find them. But some people say they have already found us.
It was really a traumatic experience.
Rusty Hudson is a writer from New York. He leads an utterly normal life, except for one thing.
I was turning back to face the light, and instantaneously I was gone from that room and was like outside amongst the trees and looking up and seeing one of these creatures as being this. It's ludicrous, it's crazy. And yet, here we are. Here's this pile of experience of sane, normal people from all over the world reporting the same stuff.
Hundreds of purported abductees do tell similar stories. Many have had missing time episodes. One moment they're at one place, the next at another. And they have no idea what happened in between.
It does sound crazy. Immediately following this experience, I began having nightmares.
This homemaker from New
about
Jersey
this
doesn't
night,
want her name
this day.
revealed. Her experience
And,
occurred
my
in the early
companion began
70s.
suffering from anxiety attacks, and he had to be hospitalized once. But still, we couldn't figure out what happened to us. It's a beautiful summer day. We just had a very nice weekend at the Jersey Shore. So we were both in very good and happy moods, and we were just chit-chatting. The radio was playing.
In Tennessee today, the king, Elvis Presley, was hospitalized for recurrent...
And the next thing we know, it's dark. We had just gone, split second to split second, from a very happy, close moment together to sitting in our parked car in the dark in a field. Our last memory when we found ourselves sitting in the parked car was driving in the car with the sun shining at noon.
And then?
And then we were in the parked car in the dark, engine off. As though no time had passed, as far as we could recollect. Under hypnosis, I could see clearly driving up to a large round craft, and some beings escorted me into this craft. I recall 4 or 5 of these beings. I don't know what they were doing, but it was petrifying and real.
But SETI astronomers say abduction stories can't be real. Interstellar travel flies in the face of the laws of physics.
Well, there's a simple matter of moving matter, mass, stuff at huge velocities over the vast distances between the stars.
A simple probe, even to the nearest star, it may take 100 or 200 or 300 years.
From a physicist's point of view, that's damned incredible.
And why have they gone to this rather extraordinary method of sending spacecraft which nobody but unconfirmable reports can find, and not bothered to send us a simple radio message that half the receivers on Earth could pick up? It's just incredibly easier to send things by radio.
The search for extraterrestrial intelligence was founded more than 30 years ago by the astronomer Frank Drake. He used one of the world's first radio telescopes in a modest search for signals from space. Back then, his ideas were almost as marginal as tales of flying saucers.
The idea that there might be life elsewhere in the universe was sort of taboo in science. And to work on it, to talk about it, was considered something that perhaps bona fide scientists didn't do.
It was the 50s, after all. Monsters from outer space were invading movie houses. UFOs were landing everywhere, and even though scientists weren't meant to take part in the fun, Drake couldn't ignore that the question of extraterrestrials was in the air. On the ground, powerful radio towers were beaming Wolfman Jack, Cousin Brucey, and Alan Freed across huge distances to receivers everywhere. Frank Drake might have wondered. A Buick LeSabre could easily pick up Elvis. So could they, out in deep space, hear Elvis too? He realized the only thing fast enough to travel between hugely distant civilizations was radio, not rockets. Even a slow tube goes 186,000 miles a second, the speed of light. So Elvis reached Jupiter in less than an hour. Somewhere near the stars Castor and Pollux, 200 trillion miles away, there may be a planet where Elvis lives, amid radio-listening beings. The King would be reaching them right about now. The space probe Voyager would need 700,000 years to catch up. And that is why Frank Drake says we'll never meet ETs.
My hunch, and of course I'm only guessing, is that we will never really meet them. Not in person. We will talk to them, we will know everything about them, just as we learn about other cultures through television. But I think a direct contact is very unlikely.
The problem with that is it assumes that that intelligence is going to be like us. And it begs the possibility that an intelligence that was like hundreds of thousands of years ahead of us would have overcome the problems of interdimensional travel, would have overcome the problem of manifesting in our world from wherever.
Dr. John Mack is a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He's helped nearly 100 abductees reconstruct their experiences.
Relax. Let your eyelids rest heavily on your eyes.
I know it seems bizarre to other people when they first hear it, but why not? Why shouldn't there be other intelligences, and why shouldn't they be reaching us? And yes, it takes a bizarre form. Yes, they're funny little beings with big black eyes, but here they are.
When you got to the bottom of the stairs, what did you notice?
Well, when the door opened, it looked like about 5 of them, ETs standing there. They were...
The color of the face?
They're like ashen white. They got the big eyes. There's no pupil.
The basic description, which is highly complex and detailed, are almost identical, one to another, from hundreds of people.
Dr. Mack conducts frequent support group meetings with abductees. For many, this is the only place they feel comfortable talking about their experiences.
Other than in the most intimate kind of situations.
It's outrageous. I mean, the first thing is, this is crazy. This is tabloids. This is Elvis. You know, this is stuff, you know, what's the matter with me? I've never seen Elvis. I've never met anyone who's seen Elvis. And I have seen ETs. I have seen beings that are non-human, and I've met plenty of people who have too.
Show me. Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? I mean, we had an earthquake in 1989, and a section of the Bay Bridge fell through, and a car drove into it, and it was a tragedy. We have videotape of that incident. Nobody was expecting it. Nobody was planning it. Somehow, when a UFO lands, oh, the video camera didn't work. Oh, I left my camera at home. There isn't any tangible evidence.
If somebody would walk into my office with an ashtray or a radio knob from a UFO, in a sense that's job security, that would be terrific.
Well, now hundreds of thousands of people possibly are reporting that something is happening to them and they're of sound mind, but because we can't find a cigarette lighter left by the aliens who wouldn't expect to be detected anyway, are we to say that this is not happening, that this doesn't exist?
If it's so common and so frequent, why haven't I seen it? What's wrong with my lawn? It has to be proven.
And no one can do that. They simply haven't got the physical evidence.
But SETI has no hard evidence either. Not yet, anyway. And in some high places, there are people who believe any interest in extraterrestrial life deserves derision, not tax dollars.
Madam President, the amendment I am offering today will eliminate funding for what I believe to be a foolish and wasteful NASA program. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, has attracted ridicule and derision.
On October 1st, 1993, less than a year after the beginning of the Sky Survey, SETI was dead. But an act of Congress can't kill human curiosity. The search was bound to go on, with scientists or without them. In California, Dr. Stephen Greer, surgeon, is leading an expedition into the desert night. No telescopes, no computers. The tool is telepathy, the goal of very close encounter.
A close encounter of the fifth kind is a significant new category because it's the first category where humans are making an initiative to contact and interact with these objects. And that's, I think, very significant. I mean, after all, this is our home planet. If these are visitors from other planetary systems, I think it would behoove the citizens of this planet to find a way of saying, welcome here. And take something, I don't care if it's a flashlight, and try to signal to it and try to get it to land and try to interact with it, if they, of course, have the courage and the will to do so. Primary, in the event that there's a landing and an opportunity to go on board, you will come on board, okay, John? Mm-hmm. And you need to stay behind to document that. I'll be boarding party member number 1. We can just go around 2, 3, 4, skip you.
5,
6, 7. And you'll stay behind. If there's a close approach, you understand that you'll go and set up the landing, mark out the area with the lights. The problem I have with the scientists in SETI listening for microwave signals from deep space is that when they're already landing on terra firma, on this Earth, and are being reported by people and governments all over the world, I think it would behoove us to look in our own atmosphere before we start looking at millions of light years away. I do think that in the next 2 to 5 years that we will have a landing and that we will go on board. I've made plans for this. Quite frankly, have transferred all my assets to my wife's name. My children are aware of this. It's something that I have taken a great deal of time to plan.
No SETI astronomer has made arrangements to join Dr. Greer's boarding party. But the scientists do have plans of their own. Stunning $1 million donations have brought SETI back to life. Once again, the search is on. And the astronomers are more hopeful than ever that they'll finally find their radio station in the sky.
First time you make the detection, you say, well, this might be interesting, but we've had 8,000 or 25,000 interference signals. Why should this one be any different? So we do a follow-up.
In fact, what happens is when you find a suspicious signal is you go through a whole list of steps to confirm that this is really an extraterrestrial signal.
Let's make absolutely sure. And then the next time you try again, then you really start scratching your head and you're saying, could this be some strange military aircraft flying a peculiar flight pattern?
And that takes a while because you have to confirm it from several telescopes.
When you start getting to that stage, then you start saying, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it.
And that's when I can't say it on camera. I mean, the words are really, holy shit, right? I mean, that's what it's going to feel like.
That would be the discovery of the millennium, that's for sure. And I mean the next one as well. I think there's probably a lot of intelligence in the universe. I honestly do think we'll find something. I don't know if it'll be in the next 5 years, or maybe not even in the next 10 years. But In my gut, I'm willing to bet anybody will find something in the next 10 years.
Recently, the Hubble Space Telescope found the strongest evidence yet, suggesting the existence of planets beyond our solar system. Are we alone in the night of the universe? Is anybody out there?
Thank you.